Let's talk the turnaround for the Toronto Maple Leafs. A great finish to November, particularly defensively. What have you seen out of the Leafs that has been most impressive on their turnaround?
Team defense, a commitment to playing defense as a unit. I think when they're at their worst, they're blowing the zone a little bit too early and cheating for offense, and it's fun to watch. And with the talent they have, you're certainly in an 82-game schedule. You want to see that, but I think based off their performance last year and wanting to have improvement, I think Sheldon walked it back after game 2, and I think he was a little bit upset with himself the way that was handled. And I think since then, he's been firing on cylinders. I think he's said, if I'm basically going to lose my job here, I'm doing it my way. And I think he's been exceptional. But Mitch Marner, and I don't need to tell you, Kipper, but I've always admired Mitch Marner as a player. He is taking it to another level of play, and both ends. I mean, like that when he stripped the puck off of Dougie Hamilton in Jersey and just basically flew him away, and then on one knee threw it out front, like that's been some big boys that he's doing that. And I can only talk so much about Mark Giordano, but right now Mark Giordano is looking, instead of a guy that took a hometown discount, and Kyle Dubas should be putting flower wreaths in his stall for that, because he's playing like a $4 million defenseman right now. But it's like found a youth, his passion there. And I said, it's been unfortunate because a lot of different Leafs have come back late in their careers, and they've been great teammates and stuff. But like Spezza or Thornton or Marlowe, and they come back home, and you don't really get the great Hall of Fame kind of player that they did in throughout career. But right now, you are getting vintage Mark Giordano blocking shots, actually to a point that I'm like a little concerned about how he's going to hold up through all this, because the heart is still 22, but the body is all in great shape.
Right.
It's just he's just dropping in front of everything. And I talked to him last year, and he was like, felt he was at the end of his rope. He was lost so much confidence in Seattle. He couldn't find any structure they would play there. He was playing, even for him to say he was playing way too many minutes, first unit power play, first unit penalty kill, and the results were so diminished. And now he just seems to have slotted into a role. And with the injuries out, I mean, he's been awesome. And I mean, even like they were booing Justin Hall, and for some time off the ice for weeks. And now, these guys have really looked steady. And who ever thought they could have done it all without Jordy Ben too?
Yeah, they're surviving in the absence of Jordy Ben. So when you watch this team play, and the goal is not to make the playoffs or to win a playoff round, the goal is to win a Stanley Cup. You're the GM. Where's your priority to add to this group here? I know that some people have said that, Kipper and I have talked about the left wing position. Some people think defense. Where do you see is the most pressing need?
Well, you guys discussed it before, and the perfect type player, and I mean, I had kind of had a little bit insider information on the fact that he had turned down a trade to Winnipeg, but a player like a Manson, that type of player, I think is going to be critical for them in the playoffs. I don't think you need. I would stay far away from a Klingberg type player, who I think is an absolute mess in his own zone. Although he's he's offensively gifted, I don't think that's what they need. And then I'd try and get I guess you'd shirt player. The problem is, and we talked about this the other day, is you got to find a dance partner. And there's so much parity in this league that it's easy to say, okay, Anaheim's out of it, so of course you're going to talk about Klingberg, or certainly Columbus is out of it, so Gavrikov. But there's going to be some teams here that just have such a different expectation. It's not going to be that easy to find the right type of defenseman. And ideally, it's a right shot. I know there's a lot of talk about Jacob Chikrin. I think you're going to have a big trouble trying the pieces that they're going to want out of your lineup might throw off your dynamics. So I think that's a hard trade for someone like Toronto to make. But again, and then I think I'd try and find a character type player, bottom six guy that's not going to blow your bank. Somebody said it yesterday, the kind of rule that like a Corey Perry has played for teams down the stretch, where just a veteran guy that whether he's dying to win his last cup. Unfortunately, in my opinion, I want Wayne Simmons to be that player. I don't know whether he can anymore because he plays the right way. He obviously, Sheldon doesn't have as much confidence in him as he once did, but that type of player that maybe can fringe up on your second line, but ideally is, going to be a top playoff performer. Like when you see teams add like a Barclay Goodrow and stuff like that, it's a big body presence. It's just going to be able to stand the wear. And I talked about having been on the plane, and Kipper, you've won a cup. You see these guys, like you get to the third or fourth round in the plane, guys are carrying like intravenous units down. There's ice packs everywhere. And like you just said, Borny, this team is not being, for a team that hasn't won a round, they're being talked about as Stanley Cup champions, and that's a grind. So you got to have some big bodies that are prepared for that grind.